Hi everyone, we're just waiting for a few more people to join in, but you're very welcome to this Creativity in the Workplace webinar. We'll just wait for a few more people to turn up before we get going. Once again, thanks very much for everyone who's arrived so far. Welcome to the Creativity in the Workplace webinar. We'll be starting in just a couple of minutes. Okay, we'll get going. Some more people arrive, then that's all fine. Right, good morning everybody, or good afternoon just about. My name is Lucy Byrne and I'm the Managing Director of Dot Art. Before I start, I'd like to thank Bruntwood for inviting me to deliver this webinar. It's part of a free business support program, Spark by Bruntwood Works, and there are lots more events coming up. You can see the full lineup at bruntwood.co.uk/spark. So, I run a small arts organisation and social enterprise based in the heart of Liverpool's business district. You can see our lovely gallery just here, so do pop by and visit us if you're visiting. It's lovely to be partly reopened after so long. My fantastic team ensure that we do everything that you might think a gallery would do, but my job is different. For the past 15 years, I've spent my time working with all sorts of different people to introduce art and creativity into their lives. In fact, our vision is enabling everyone to enrich their lives through art. This might sound quite grand or even a little bit intimidating if the word art makes you panic. For example, if I had £1 for every time someone says to me, when I meet them, I introduce myself and they say, I don't know anything about art. I don't know if they think I'm going to give them some kind of test or something, but it does make me laugh every time. But we really believe that experiencing and participating in creativity has an incredibly positive impact on individuals' lives and is inclusive and relevant to absolutely everybody. As work and home life become increasingly blurred and we recognise the importance of good mental health throughout our lives, companies can harness the power of creativity to support, challenge and inspire their staff in simple ways with fantastic results. I wanted to share a quote from one of my favourite artists, who some of you may have become more familiar with during lockdown through his program Grayson's Art Club, which I personally really enjoyed. And it's a TV program that's been instrumental in championing everyone to try and get creative themselves. So he says, art helps us access and express parts of ourselves that are often unavailable to other forms of human interaction. It flies below the radar, delivering nourishment for our soul and returning with stories from the unconscious. A world without art is an inhuman world. Making and consuming art lifts our spirits and keeps us sane. Art, like science and religion, helps us make meaning from our lives, and to make meaning is to make us feel better. Okay, so what is creativity? It's not an easy thing to define, but in this context, it's the act of turning innovative or imaginative ideas into reality. It's also the ability to see a problem from different perspectives and develop new solutions for it. Creativity requires lateral thinking, which involves the ability to perceive patterns and develop solutions in new and unique ways. Creativity used to be considered a term reserved for alternative professions and hobbies, but today it's being embraced in offices around the world, with some of the top companies cultivating it from within. Creativity is important because it keeps businesses moving forward with innovation. It encourages new and unique ideas and challenges employees to consider situations from a new perspective. Creating an environment that nurtures new ways of handling common issues increases productivity and morale across an entire organization. Employees feel more confident in sharing the ideas. The more ideas employees have, the more innovative a company can become. Okay, so why give staff time to doodle? As you arrived today, I asked the question of whether you considered yourself to be creative. The results are in, and I have to say they are sadly unsurprising. Over 80% of you would either consider yourself a little or not creative at all. But I'd like to ask you to change the way you think about yourselves. A study in 2017 found very similar results, that just 17% of us participate in what they call everyday creativity. That is drawing, painting, singing, crafting, or knitting, or anything creative in our spare time. But we all created when we were children. Before we became self-critical, we all threw paint around gleefully or banged out a tune on the recorder. And many more of us took up a creative pursuit or practical hobby during lockdown. But the really important thing to remember as an adult is it really is the taking part that counts. It really doesn't matter what the end result is. According to a recent Guardian article, getting to grips with something new and creative is good for our mental health, regardless of skill level. I know this firsthand and how powerful this can be. In the first lockdown, my team and I learned to lino cut together during using one of our online courses. And I have to say, I found it so beneficial. You can see some of our team efforts here. And as you can see, they're by no means expert, but that really wasn't the point. We sent kits out to everyone's homes. We gave time once a week we gave time every week to the sessions, and then shared our masterpieces with each other. And I have to say, focusing on completely on one thing, learning a new skill and seeing an end result, it really just took me away from my day-to-day worries and thoughts. And I now try and carve out time every month to do my new hobby. Creativity is seen as one of the most important skills, and this is growing all the time. The World Economic Forum produces a list of the most in-demand skills by employers every 5 years. Creativity was not on the 2015 list, but in 2020, it is number 3, with only complex problem solving and critical thinking above it, which I would argue are pretty much the same thing and are very creative. And this doesn't just link to jobs in the creative industries. Innovation, growth, and that lovely old chestnut, thinking outside the box, are vital to all industries and all sectors, and all forward-thinking businesses. Working creatively makes long-term career sense too. As AI and automation increases, it will be the jobs that include an element of creativity that survive. Just 13% of creative jobs are at risk of automation by 2030, whereas some studies put the figures for jobs across the board up to 47%. Taking time away from your laptop to do something creative can open up your brain to new ideas and ways of approaching problems. Ruth Sachs, Business Development Director and Principal Lecturer at Westminster Business School, believes employees are more likely to be creative when they are relaxed. She says, many creative thoughts are triggered unconsciously, which is why being able to step away from everyday activities help open the mind to new ideas. A combination of reflection and deliberately assuming distinct and different perspectives, or making time to change focus and challenge thinking, can be effective for inspiring creativity. Okay, so another approach, why put art in offices? There are many benefits of having art in the workplace, even if I'm bound to be slightly biased, as it's one of the things that we do. But things like identity and branding and creating cohesive identity, corporate social responsibility, wayfinding and placemaking, and even as an investment are all really important elements that can be considered when putting art into the workplace. But the issue relevant here to us today is the fact that having art in a space is just good for business. So a theme that people are going to be thinking about a lot at the moment is getting people back into the office. The office in 2021 is competing with an array of less rigid, more relaxed working spaces, from home to the local park to the local coffee shop. And in order to attract, encourage and retain staff, it's crucial for businesses to make the office a destination of choice, to create an environment that people want to be in. Investing in things that will draw employees in is a sensible and necessary business strategy, and is one that workplace art can do much to support. Here you can see a tranquil coffee area at the Women's Organisation in Liverpool, with a stunning abstract painting, turning a bland space into one that you'd really want to spend time in. Happy staff means happy businesses. So spending time in a pleasant, stimulating environment is quite clearly good for our mental health. As staff well-being becomes more and more important, businesses need to consider the impact that workspaces have on their teams. 93.8% of respondents in a survey carried out by the British Council of Offices said that art makes the workplace feel more welcoming. 60% of respondents to the same survey felt that art stimulates creativity in an office. And unsurprisingly, happy, content staff are far more productive, meaning that a small investment in office environments can have a healthy impact on the bottom line. For the same reasons, including art in the workplace can help attract and retain staff, keeping recruitment costs as low as possible and building long-term, stable teams. This image shows a part of a playful series of murals that we created for Bruntwood's Exchange building, which is in an old telephone exchange in Manchester. And this was designed very much to bring a smile to people's faces. So getting people involved in choosing the arts can be another very powerful tool. Workplace art has a clear potential to act as a stimulus for engaged brain thinking in the office, but the key to success, according to one study, is that staff should have some element of control or engagement over the art displayed. Becoming empowered and integral to decision-making also helps bond teams together and build loyalty to both the company and the brand. To test their hypothesis, the study team created a variety of different office environments, including a lean office, which was a sanitized space with minimal decoration, an enriched office, one which was decorated with plants and art, and an empowered office, one in which the occupiers could choose the art and everything else that was displayed and how it was displayed. The results were very telling. People in the enriched office worked about 15% faster than those in the lean office, with no more errors, and they reported fewer health-related environmental complaints. Productivity and well-being increased even further by around 30% in the office that participants had customized themselves. This slide shows one of 10 commissions that we created for an insurance firm in Liverpool. Artist Ali Barker has synesthesia, which causes her to see sound as color. She produces stunning abstract paintings to illustrate specific pieces of music as she sees them. So staff at this company were asked to submit their favorite songs, and 10 were chosen to become the works of art that decorated the office. This particular piece is Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones. So keeping it flexible. We all know that the world has changed beyond recognition over the last 18 months and will probably continue to do so for some time. Rather than committing to artwork that will only suit your current space when the possibility of moving, downsizing, or upsizing your office is ever present, renting art is a great way to ensure that you're not tied to pieces that are no longer suitable, and low monthly costs will also keep it within budget. Rotating your artwork every 6 or 12 months is also a great way to get staff involved. You can set up an art committee and have them decide what pieces of art they'd like to see in the next period. Here you can see an artwork in a more traditional style, rented by a solicitor's firm who were planning to move in the near future, but didn't want to have blank walls in the interim. So we've now got 10 top tips for a creative workplace. Number 1, offer lunchtime courses to your staff, either in person or online. This will encourage them to step away from their day-to-day work, shift gears in their brain, and get a well-being boost. Number 2, entice people back to the office with a creative team activity. Everyone's stress levels about the pandemic and the return to the office will be different, but no one wants to come to the office just to sit at their PC anymore. Give teams a reason to come together by putting on a fun and engaging activity and associate the workplace with positivity in people's minds. Tip 3, engage your younger staff. Millennials and Generation Z are expected to make up 59% of the global workforce this year, with roughly half of millennials considering themselves as creators, regardless of their job title. Building creativity into day-to-day tasks will act as a great motivator and increase job satisfaction, as well as utilize valuable, often underused skills. Number 4, reshuffle your space. Many companies will already be looking at this, but as people come back to the office, what they are looking for are spaces to collaborate, brainstorm, and interact with their other staff members. This means no more banks of individual desks and more breakout spaces, informal meeting rooms, and other inspirational environments that will be enjoyable to spend time in and conducive to creative thinking. Number 5, ask people's opinions. This seems very simple, but it's often overlooked. Ask your team what would help them to be more creative at work, how they could operate more productively, or what tools would allow them to spend more time thinking and innovating. Tip 6, be flexible. We all know that the days of spending 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. 5 days a week at your desk are over for most people. This is really important when it comes to creativity, as people will find themselves most productive at different times of the day or in different environments. By allowing staff to choose their own work patterns, you may find that their creative output increases. Number 7, don't be afraid to fail. In order to have a creative workplace, you cannot maintain a fear of failure. When you fail, you're forced to find new and different perspectives before you can proceed, and these new perspectives will spark creativity. Tip 8, build a diverse team. Many leaders hire in their own image. A much better strategy for encouraging creativity is to build a team with a variety of different skills and strengths and encourage healthy debate amongst them. Create an environment where failure is okay, different points of view are encouraged. Ban the expression, "That's not the way we do it here." Tip 9, stop saying but. When someone gives you an idea and you immediately say but, whether it's "but we can't," "but we're too expensive," "but we don't have the money," you're simply stopping creativity before it even happens, and instead of allowing ideas to develop. Instead, try saying yes and see what happens. And point 10, reward creativity. Motivate individuals or teams who come up with winning ideas by actively recognizing creativity, for example, through an award scheme, vouchers, or team outings. So I hope I've been able to give you a bit of an idea as to both how and why creativity and creating a culture of creativity in the workplace is hugely beneficial, both to individuals and to the business as a whole. From boosting mental health, job satisfaction, and productivity, to attracting and retaining staff, continual innovation, and cost savings, looking at the world through a creative lens is a win-win situation. If you'd like to find out any more about how Dot Art can help make your workspace a more creative place, My details will be shared by email. Now, I'm going to hand over to one of our fantastic artists, Sarah Jane, who will be taking you through the real reason you're all here, a taster of the kind of mindful, relaxing, and enjoyable drawing sessions that you could introduce to your teams. So I am just going to hand over to Sarah Jane. Here, over to you.
Lovely. Thank you, Lucy. Am I large on the screen now? Because I still look small on the screen.
You are large to me, but I will just do that. How's that?
Yes, that's better. Lovely. Thank you. Lovely. Thank you, Lucy. And I'm really happy to be here today. My name's Sarah Jane Richards, and I'm a freelance artist based in Liverpool. And I do a lot of teaching, formally and informally, drawing and painting techniques and skills. And one of the main things that I come across with people is that they feel that creativity is something other, something they can't do. So you go to a gallery and you see amazing artwork, then you think, gosh, I couldn't do that. There's no way I can do that. And, you know, maybe you can't. People who have done artwork like that in galleries, they spend years and years practicing and focusing and honing their skills. That's not to say it isn't skills that you can learn, because I truly believe that anyone can learn these skills to create artworks that they're happy with and they want to put up on their wall. And there's lots of ways that you can join classes. Dot Art do some fantastic classes on how to learn skills to draw and paint. But what I'm here to talk to you about today, and what I'm really interested in, is how to get ownership of creativity, how to make it your own. You don't have to create a masterpiece to actually enjoy and take ownership of your own ability to create. And allowing yourself the time and the freedom to just explore mark making, to be in the moment, to create marks, is really rewarding in so many ways. So I've got a series of really fun activities that I'd like you to take part in with me today. And hopefully afterwards, it'll maybe open things up to you. And maybe if you were asked a poll after today's session and whether you saw yourself as creative, you might go, maybe. So just to start off with, I want to make sure that everyone's got some paper and some kind of drawing implement. It could be a biro, it can be a pen, it can be a pencil. If you haven't, go run and get one now. And it can be any type of paper. If you've only got a back of an envelope, that's absolutely fine. If you've got a sketchbook, fantastic. I'm going to be working on here so you can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to be working with a Sharpie pen so that you can see my drawings as I'm doing them. But yeah, one of the things is that you don't need to spend lots and lots of money on specific art materials to actually enjoy being creative. You can use anything that's lying around. So what I'm going to get you to do today is a thing called continual line drawing, which is something that I really enjoy doing, and I find really meditative and really frees my mind from thinking about all the worries and stuff that's going on, and focuses me in the moment. And I'm going to take you through a sequence of drawing based on continual line drawing. And continual line drawing basically means that when you put your pen or your pencil on the paper, when you start to draw, you don't take it off until the drawing's finished. So if you were able to unravel, if it was a piece of string, it would be one continual piece of string. If you accidentally take your pencil or pen off the paper, that's fine. Just put it back where it was so it's a continual line. And the thing about continual line drawing as well is you really have to focus on your hand-to-eye coordination. So when you're looking at something, you're trying to get your eye to move around the object at the same time that your hands moving and making the marks. So there's a real focus on hand-to-eye coordination and making these marks. It's a really slow and focused way of drawing, and what I'm going to keep reminding you to do during these exercises is to remember to breathe. You can find that you hold your breath because you're focusing so hard, but just let yourself relax and see if you can follow the breath. And being aware of your breath when you're drawing like this can really help you to relax and enjoy the experience a bit more. So I'm assuming that everybody has got a mug with them. If you haven't, you can use anything, but I'm going to use a mug, and I've chosen a mug because when I come to these things, I always have a cup of tea. So if you've got yourself a mug, the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is look at it, behold it. You know, all art, visual art, is about looking, observation, beholding. So the first thing I want you to do is just hold it up at eye level. So when you hold it at eye level, I'm going to hold it for the camera so you can see. You can't see anything on the inside and you can't see anything on the bottom, and you've got this traditional shape of a mug. And then what I want you to do as you're looking at your mug, I just want you to drop it down below eye level. So what happens is the ellipse appears in the top. And as you drop it down, I'm having to tip it because if I drop it, you'll be able to see it. But if you drop it from your eye level, the ellipse will get bigger and bigger, and it distorts the side of the mug, and it also distorts the handle. You can do this from below as well. So if you lift your mug up, you'll see that the bottom becomes more evident. The top kind of gets further away, the bottom becomes more prominent, and it distorts the handle again. So again, looking at an object that you want to draw and just beholding it. I really like the word behold. I don't think we behold enough. Beholding the object in front of you just allows you to spend time with it and get familiar with it. And to start off with, we're going to go for the most simplest perspective of the mug. So we're going to look at it just straight on, so no ellipses are visible. Keep it nice and straight. And we're going to start off doing a continual line drawing. And as I said, the key within the continual line drawing is I'm going to start off at a certain point, and as my eye is moving up the side of the mug and then along the top, my eye is drawing a line almost around the mug. My hand is moving in unison. And what I want to do is I want to draw all the way around the mug, around the handle, coming in to get this loop, and then around the bottom of it. So I'm going to do it now, and I'm going to ask if you would like to do it at the same time, so we're all doing it together. Start wherever you like, it doesn't matter where you start, and you can do whatever size you want. Remember to follow your breath, keep breathing. Slowly let your eye trace around. Okay. Just about see that. So continual line drawing of the mug. What you can do as well with this now is you've got this continual line. It starts at one point and it joins the other. It may look like a mug and you may think, oh, quite a good mug drawing of a mug, or it may not. Doesn't matter. Get rid of the idea of something looking good at the end or looking bad. Try and get rid of that inner critic and just enjoy the process. So I'd like you to do it again, but this time I'd like you to have the mug in a position that makes it a little bit more complex. So by dropping it down, you could get this ellipse, and then you've got this lovely shape and the distortion here, or you can have it from underneath, or you can have it maybe with the handle, maybe like this. So have a play, hold it around, move it up and down in your eye line, and then taking your time, exactly the same premise, starting wherever you want, just draw around the mug. Okay, so hopefully that felt a little bit more challenging for you. Things that you can do when you come to continual line drawing is if you want to jump an area, so you want to go from one area to another and you're not sure how to get there, so you can actually go over an old line to create it. So for example, you can't actually see this as well as I'd hoped, but if you look at this drawing here, when it came to this, I came over this line to come up. So I'm actually, and when I came to here, I went over this line again. So it becomes an invisible line. It's a little bit darker, and you can actually have lines so they're next to each other. That can be a nice visual when you've got them next to each other, but you can make them invisible and continue a line if you just literally go over the top of them. Okay, Another thing you might want to do with continual line is you might want to go in the middle. So if you look at this pattern, the zebra on the mug, I might want to draw the zebra, but there's no obvious lines of how to get to the zebra. So what I can do is I can just create one. So I could draw around and I could go up here, draw a line, draw the zebra, and then draw down here, or I could draw it and go up here and come round. So if you've got a pattern on your mug or some kind of motif, I want you to think about how you're going to get in and just let a line just drop in or come in from somewhere to draw the motif to then go around the outside of the mug again. And if you've got a plain mug, I want you to put a motif in the middle. It can be something really simple like a circle or a bullseye or a heart or something. But it's the idea, I want you to feel confident in being able to get things inside of things and having this linear effect. So I'm going to do this now. So again, take your time, choose how you want to see it, what direction it's in, and starting wherever you want, remembering to breathe. And I'm going to make this line an obvious line. I don't want to make it invisible. And then just to show you what I mean about making the lines obvious, I'm going to go over them again. Okay. Still not entirely convinced you can see that as well as I want you to, so I'm just going to take this down quickly to hold it closer. Okay, that's better. So if you look at my my zebra, which is quite fun, I think, quite quirky, you can see that I've just gone in from the bottom. Doesn't matter if there's a gap in the bottom of the mug, it's part of the quirkiness of this drawing. And instead of making my lines invisible by going over them, I've actually gone next to them, which gives a visual effect, which I find really, really interesting with continual line drawing. So that's one object. You can do it with one object. And then, of course, you can expand your line to do it on multiple objects. So what I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to look around you, and I want you to see if you've got a windowsill or a desk surface or a dressing board or something that's got objects on it in a line. And I want you to look at these objects in a line, and I want you to start at one side of it, maybe a mantelpiece, depending where you are. And I want you to draw a continuous line going round all these objects, getting some of the detail in. So if you had a mug like this, you could go up and draw around it. Keep going and draw at least 3, because I want you to see how these objects can relate to each other in a nice linear, and make it really obvious where your line begins and where your line ends, because that can be a really nice visual effect. If you don't have anything prominent, just rearrange some things around you. So I'm using my soup bowl, which I had for lunch. I'm going to use the mug again, and I've got a bit of a plant on there. So start wherever you like. Don't forget to follow your breath. And looking at your objects, draw what you can see. It's a little bit uncomfortable for me because the objects, I'm having to turn my head away. Ideally, the objects will be placed here behind me, so I don't have to move my neck to see them. Maybe you can be in that position. Okay, so I'm moving through these relatively quick because there's I want to get through everything I want to share with you today. But ideally, you'd really take your time with this. What's really interesting that happens, it can be quite hard to get the scale correct. So if you look at the size of my mug compared to my soup bowl, the scale doesn't look correct on that, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about the scale, and it doesn't matter about whether they look like it or not. Drawing like this is in the actual doing. And I really do like these drawings, though. It may not be to your style, but I think these make wonderful cards. You'd see things like this in utility in town on their birthday cards and stuff. Really confident, simple line drawings. Okay, so we've gone from one object to a couple of objects. What you can also do, and we won't do this together today, but it's a really fun thing that you can do within your own time, is you can expand that out to the room. So think about your entire room now. Look at a corner of where you are, and imagine if you were taking a line now from one place, and every time the line came down and hit an object, you had to decide, do you go left, do you go right on the object, where do you go? I think it was Paul Clay who said, taking the line for a walk. So look around your room now and imagine you're taking your line for a walk around the room. Where would it go? What would be the decisions that you make? What direction would it take when it hit a point where it could go in multiple choices? I'm going to show you just a quick example of this. Okay. Lucy, can you nod if you can see this picture? Yeah, great. Okay. So this is a photograph of taken of my lounge. And if you follow my cursor, you can see that I can go down this cushion here. And then when I get to this area, I can either follow the cushion down or I can go along the back. When I get to this cat toy, I can either go up the cat toy or ignore it and go along. When I get to this junction here, I can either go down or I can go across this way or up. It's absolutely up to you. And the way that you move around the room can be quite organic and can be really lovely to explore a really familiar surrounding in this way, because you might notice things that you don't usually notice. Lucy, can you nod if you can see this picture? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so here's my quick sketch on a rough piece of paper with a biro of the room. So you can see it's just kind of like a shadow outline. I wanted to get these plants in at the bottom here. Look how disjointed this table is with the books on it. Doesn't matter, it's all off kilter. It's a really lovely thing to do. And what I've done is I've made a dot at the beginning and the end to show where my line has started and ended. Okay. I'm just checking time. I think we have got time to actually give the room a go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of time now to start in one place in your room. Of course, it's a really nice place to start. And I'm going to get you, we'll just do a couple of minutes. I want you to take your line for a walk around the room, fitting it on your paper, and making decisions of where you want it to go, and maybe following things that you want to or find interesting. So I'm going to do it at the same time. Maybe you can make lines invisible if you have to go back on them, or you can make them obvious. Oh, yeah. 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 And sometimes you may find that you're going to a bit of a dead end. And you're like, oh, what am I doing here? That's fine. You can either backtrack or you can just let yourself get to one end, and that's the end of the drawing. And you can always create lines that aren't there. So if you want to go somewhere and you don't know how to get there, just create a line going there. It's absolutely fine. This is your exploration of the room. The key thing is that you're trying to move your hand and your eye at the same time, and you don't take your pen or pencil off the paper. Okay. So again, ideally, these are exercises that you can just do in your own time, you can do anywhere, and you would take your time in doing it. So it is a thing about following the breath and just letting yourself explore. Mine's actually ended up being vertical rather than a horizontal one, which I quite like. I've gone from the ceiling and worked my way down in the studio. So it's quite nice to
Yeah, we've lost Sarah Jane there for a minute. Oh dear. I do apologise, everyone. But I think we were pretty much there with our drawing exercises. I'll just make myself a bit bigger here. I apologise. But thank you so much for that. I hope you enjoyed the drawing exercises, and I hope you will continue to try those out some yourselves during the working day or in your spare time as well. So thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you found this Creativity in the Workplace webinar of interest and use. Thank you very much.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, Sarah Jane, we've stopped now. We lost you for a while.